We did Jinjin on that I all the media in the Ramada Jija to project and to put one of the chart. In the Zanja Gundanya, the Zanja Gundala, the major of one. No, I'm tied up here. Cannot go anywhere. Yeah, so now again to remind the bodhicitta that one wish to attain enlightenment, to benefit all the sentient beings, to liberate from the suffering of samsara and lead them to ultimate fruition, the enlightenment stage. And for that reason, then wants to share these teachings on the Vajrakilaya sadhana, and according to that, one contemplate and then engage into practice. Where one can go through all process of purification and accumulating the merit and wisdom to attain complete enlightenment. So with that, kind of pure intention and being motivated to, kind of listen and then wish to engage into practice, then the actual text is that revealed out by great treasure revealer or Annalingba, whole cycle of the running kind of practice, out of which it is based on the mind activity tantra of the Mayoga, in which there is the particular deity for activity to involve all the 4 different activities, which is mostly to clear out obstacles. And to do this practice, then there is the refuge, and then bodhicitta, and then the 7 branches of offering, and then there is the visualization of the deity itself, which we have gone through this morning. Now we are coming to the continuation of the deity visualization explanation that was going through this, kind of like a union of the emptiness and appearance as the male and female aspect of the Vajrakilaya deity, that which we have gone through. Then saying, kind of in his forehead is the blue hungara. So then here, this Vajrakilaya deity is what is called kind of body mandala. So within the Vajrakilaya's deity, then one is like all the 8 Heruka deities, everything in form of that kind of mandala. In other kind of particular practice, extensive, then principle of the deity, and then kind of like a 10 and gate and so forth, more elaborated. So, however, here in the male aspect of the particular forehead, then there is inside the blue hungara, kind of like a deity, also which is kind of union of emptiness and appearance as the kind of like a yagum, kind of like a practice. And then at the throat is the higher jiva deity, which is also kind of with the kind of consort. So all these deities are anyway kind of 3 heads, 4 arms, 6 arms, and 4 legs, almost similar to the principal deity. And then the colors are slightly different. Then in his heart, in the male deities, kind of at the heart place, then the Yamantaka, the Lord of Death, kind of Shinji Yamarata, with the kind of like a consort. And then upon the deity's navel, upon its navel, then there is the yellow, green, but more yellow. Amrita Kundalini, the deity with kind of like a consort, And then in the at the navel itself, then in dark green Mio deity. These all are kind of three phase. So the center phase is what it is explained the color here. Have to follow in that way. And then in his kind of the meditate secret place, then there is blue or Tobden Yabim, which is kind of like a the very powerful kind of like a deity. Then in his right arm, then yeah, right arm, then white namjal, that namjal deity with the kind of like a namje with so. And then to the left arm, then blue or Yubangombo, that to the kind of left side, that these all deities are where one maintained to visualize. And then to the left thigh, then yellow, black, so dark yellow, kind of deity known as Kamsum Namgyal. So these are the names of the deity with the kind of contour. And then in the four cardinal direction, then there are kind of the four gatekeepers, kind of like four families. Or those are also in that similar appearance. So on the 10 spokes, so then at the kind of like a base ground, there is a like a wheel, like wheel, the chakra, and that wheel has 10 spokes. So on the 10 direction aspect, on the 10 spokes, there are 10 restful ones with the kind of consort, that which is also part of the protection of the 10 direction kind of like obstacles. And with their Safi emanation means that Safi are name of the deities, how it is been kind of like manifested. So more or less, these all deities are manifested from the principal deity, for its own specific, kind of like a purpose. So in this way, these total, kind of 24, all these 24 wrathful ones, that they all appear in this way, have three faces each, same like the principal deity, and then six arms and four legs, spread, apart, in that same way, like these kind of deity statues that we have in our monastery in Namdaling, that we have Vajrakilaya, Purva temple. So in the Purva temple, all these, kind of deity, image are there, and some other, kind of place you find these, pictures, the principal deity and rest of all the kind of particular retinue. But here, all the rest of kind of main the deities are within the Vajrakilaya kind of body. So then with butter wings, all these 24 deities, they also have same butter wings, same like the principal deity Vajrakilaya, and they also have the all the attributes same like channel ground, adornments like skull caps and three kinds of skull, wet, dry, and medium. Then snake ornaments, and then elephant skin and human skin, and then lower the tiger kind of garment, and so forth. The female wearing a leopard kind of garment, like all those are more or less the whole Vajrakilaya deity family, kind of similar, kind of attribute, because they are all in wrathful way, wrathful form. And each holds one of various, weapons as his, kind of symbol. And they hold the, kind of actually attributes as like, kind of vajras, and then purva and so forth, whatever it is kind of like a necessary. So at the four entrance, then this once one visualize the kind of channel ground to the celestial palace, that this celestial palace has four gates, that which is four entrance. Then for the four entrance, there are four kind of the gatekeepers. These are also manifestation of the main deity, appeared in a kind of like a wrathful, just appearance, and some of the kind of practice, these gatekeepers are one face, two arms. Some are similar to the kind of principal deity. Then around the hands, so with mandala or the kind of celestial palace, around the face, surrounding the kind of mandala are the suns and emanation. Rest of all sun means there are four natural suns which is kind of unpurposely manifested for specific kind of like activity based on the four activities. These are all not other than the principal deity itself, and then in rest of all other emanations together with their kind of rest of other protectors. These protectors, they have their own specific name, which there is no real any translation because name is name. So saying Tangi and Tangima, Shanama and Sadama and Sechal Gung. So these are the four main protect or get all the host of male protectors. So that way. So in this way, where it is saying generate the principal deity and retinue completely and perfectly. So as part of the practice of the generation stage where you go through visualization, then the principal deity is oneself with the kind of like a consort and try to kind of maintain that visualization, and then rest of the eight Heruka deities in your body mandala, and then all the surrounding kind of those, if possible, then try to visualize all everything as clear as kind of possible. So according to that, they are in the which is called in Tibetan Kirim, means kind of generation stage. That has to have basically main three points, understanding, which is called kind of like a number selva. So means number selva, the appearance of the deity, kind of the whole complete picture, with the hands and attributes and hand emblems, even including like kind of the eyes, black side and white and everything, just as clear as possible. Is supposed to kind of visualize. In case one cannot visualize the rest of all deity, but at least the principal deity, the Vajrakilaya main one, that one should to concentrate to visualize as clear as possible. That is one main thing. Namda Temba, no number selva. Then Namda Temba is also should not think that particular with the three head, six arm and four legs with all those attributions, something like a kind of like a inherent existence of that being, but it is kind of as explained earlier, all the symbolic thing like three head, three kaya, six arms, six perfection, and so forth. That is all Namda Temba means. Everything try to understand according to its kind of pure symbolic indication. Mm. And that what it is also explaining as we have gone through, that the deities, just form or appearance is not self-characterized. So this not self-characterized have a very big meaning, and very important meaning to kind of understand. So then in number seven, number temba, then the third is what is known as a natural temba. So here one need to have as one visualize from the hung all the way to the whole complete image of the Vajrakilaya deity. Then, where one try to, kind of like let it go of the identity of self. This one samsaric body, speech, mind, and then personalities, and then ego, and all everything. Try to just let it go. Try to dissolve. Instead, you are now completely transformed or emerge in form of the real wisdom, particular deity. So at that time, then you need to have this kind of pride. So in generally, pride is one of the afflictive emotion. So this is pride. Also, there are so many explanations in the Shantadeva's text. They are explained about 7 kinds of pride, out of which it is kind of like a means the pride of antidote. That where it is saying, of course I can do practice, of course I can engage into sixth profession, of course I can generate bodhicitta, of course I can benefit sentient being. So that kind of just the pride of just passion that you can engage into these practices. But here in the Vajrayana, still even not just only antidote pride, but what is called divine pride. Means, oh, now I am deity. I so have really feel and think and maintain not just only the visualization, but only also kind of really feel and maintain that the divine pride, kind of in form of particular. So these things are possible, in one for a long time practice. Maybe very sharp level of mind and a very, kind of like a very concentrated mind and with lots of perseverance and if oneself is very capable, then as one go through this, every aspects of the instruction, just to concentrate step by step the whole complete meditation possible to maintain. Then kind of like in one kind of simple short practice, like maybe 2-3 hours, that one day just kind of feel something. Otherwise, this kind of visualization, one have to do it, over and over, in the sense, kind of like taking this particular as one meditation on deity, and through this, where one wants to engage into practice. So this, kind of generation and completion stage, one wants to take as the one's main practice. Then, as one do every day do that, and every time remind about it, every time kind of having the conscientiousness about it, and just one's mind always within the boundary of the deity, kind of mandala deity form, not just kind of jumping out of that visualization, becoming like just ordinary. So mind be kind of very mindful and maintain, and that way just maintain the full complete awareness of the deity over and over and over and over. Then after some time, one can just really feel like, oh no, I feel like I got some purification. I feel like I feel really like a, kind of the deity, that which is kind of like possible. So in this way, as one do practice, it's not just only working into this practice, but this practice itself also just kind of purifies loss of obscuration, in the sense, the physical body is going to purify through the appearance of the Vajrakilaya deity form. And then the speech obscuration is going to purify because you are constantly chanting Om Vajrakilaya with the kind of the maintenance of the visualization. You don't have much samsaric, kind of verbalization. Spend more time into the deity's mantra, and then the mind. You always try to maintain the Vajrakilaya's enlightened mind in the sense of that view. In the very beginning, explaining about the kind of suchness, that is the union of emptiness and then the wisdom. So transcendental wisdom experiences the emptiness, then emptiness and the transcendental wisdom, there is not existing as object and subject. So transcendental wisdom itself is the kind of nature of emptiness, and the emptiness itself is experiencing in form of the kind of transcendental wisdom. So at that time there is no object and subject, which means there is no dualistic mind, and that is how where one maintains the kind of deity's mind. So that practice is purifies body, spirit, mind, ordinary obscuration, and then kind of slowly actualize with the kind of deity's nature. So that what it is possible to have all this kind of the clear appearance of the deity, number selva, number temba, the all everything symbolic of the pure nature, and then the divine, kind of like a pride and so forth, that which one can kind of engage into, and according to that to follow this kind of generation stage. And then there are also more extensive explanation about one thing is what is called four names that written by Popular Rinpoche. So when you read that, you have to apply into your generation stage. Otherwise, this four nails is something different, particularly is different, and then cannot combine all everything together. That the Tochen view or this Vajrayana view or all those have to combine into one thing. And all those explanation of the generation stage and completion stage, whether it is Vajrakilaya or Ringidyuba or Yunga or kind of Tara or Vajrasaka, Rupam, everything has to come to same point that one have to know how to apply. So in that for now or then Jumelimbas also there is a staircase to the Akanish. That there is a commentary, and that also explains how to visualize the kind of the deity generation state. So where it also says first kind of look into the deity's picture or the statue from the very bottom all the way to the top of it, and then hold that image, and then from right to left and left to right, just hold everything, and then kind of color, and then the appearance, and then the attributes, whatever sorts of kind of like ornaments, and then the hands, and then hand emblems. Everything one have to judge very carefully and scan everything in one's mind, and then with that one just kind of for a moment close, and then as one go through this generation instruction, then kind of try to build up everything, and then anything not clear, then look into it, just which part is missing. So these are what it is needed for the generation stage of the kind of like a deity. So this is still going through all the appearances. Then the other more important is here than saying in the heart of the principal deity upon a sun, the male deity at the heart, then there is a sun seat. Then on the sun seat, that there is a wisdom being. So this wisdom being is kind of symbolic thing, that which is you have to visualize a kind of appearance of Vajrakilaya, which is height of thumb joint, which means about thumb side, as explained during the kind of like empowerment about thumb joint side, and that is here written. Just give everything detail anyway. One face, two arms, two legs, and that and the both hands. Here they see kind of rolling a purba, rolling a purba. So that have to visualize at the once kind of oneself, the male deity, and then in one's heart that sunset, and then this is called wisdom being. So in Sanskrit there is a samaya sattva, jnana sattva, and then a samadhi sattva, which means here again just also similar to that three samadhis. So here this three samadhi is where you need to concentrate while you are generating or visualizing the Vajrakilaya deity. So that is Samaya Sattva means the commitment deity. So commitment deity means what you are visualizing in form of the Vajrakilaya deity is called Samaya Sattva. And then to experience this visualization or the imagination of the Vajrakilaya deity, to experience the like a wisdom form, then at the heart, kind of visualizing this Vajrasattva about thumb side, that is which is called Jnana Sattva. Jnana means wisdom. Jnana Sattva. Then still there is another problem that is not enough. Then again saying in his heart, in that Jnana Sattva, kind of thumb side, in that kind of in his heart, again upon a sun is a golden Vajra. This is Vajra, Pan and Vajra. That Vajra size it is made out of golden, and the size of barley grain, so tiny one, about size of the barley grain, that which is made out of kind of like a gold. So gold is anyway, kind of like in one way heavy, and on other hand, good quality, and also it is like a precious. So in that way, when one thinks that there is a kind of gold Vajra about barley size at the heart of the Jnana Sattva, the wisdom being. And that which kind of like maintains one's concentration on it, because one thinks, oh, this is the gold, made out of gold, and gold is kind of precious, and also it is just heavy, so it helps to kind of maintain the kind of stability of one's kind of visualization, including that the Vajra. And then, so this that Tingin Samba means the Samadhi Sattva in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, Samadhi Sattva, in Tibetan Tingin Samba means concentration of the object of concentration, where one need to concentrate on it. So some of the drills that then in the sun golden Bali, then in the center of which is the hum, this Bali, in the center of the Bali, then again there is a tiny hum, and that it says this hum is written by a hair tip, one hair tip with ink, and then you write so that much also have to visualize, kind of whom encircled by the mantra. So it is encircled by the mantra. Om Dandakilikileya Saupelibahum, that got into this practice. Even though there are more extensive mantras and more condensed mantras, some are 9 syllables, some are more than that. So these mantra are also written by here tips kind of Om Dandakilikileya. So all those subtle details of visualization of the generation stage and this, samaya sattva, jnana sattva, samadhi sattva, which means kind of the commitment being, which is oneself, and then the wisdom being, that kind of about Vajra side, and then the concentration object, that the hung, like this Bali side, and then the hung, and as one kind of concentrate into this through this practice of the generation stage itself will bring accomplishment of the shamatha meditation. The shamatha meditation. Shamatha meditation means tranquility meditation. So tranquility meditation means single-pointed mind meditation. Just through the generation practice, one can actualize that. There are also many masters explain in that way. My teacher also explained in that way. So don't really have to do shamatha separate. Going through this every time concentrated, one can gain that shamatha meditation practice. So, however, then in the Hum Sarvabhai mantra, each deity's crown is marked with Om. Then the whole complete Vajrakilaya deity mandala, including the principle and the 10 direction and gatekeepers and so forth, in their all, at the crown, which means inside. It is not written here. Inside white Om, inside throat, red A, at the heart, kind of blue hum. This is what is talking about Om, and in the throat with the A and the heart with the hum. All the Buddhas of the 10 directions bestow empowerment by this blessing. So that this Om Ahum is the seed syllable of all the enlightened Buddhas, including Vajrakilaya. So this Om Ahum is the seed syllable of Vajra body, Vajra speech, Vajra mind. So Vajra means
indestructible.
Indestructible. Vajra means indestructible. Indestructible means
Not compounded.
Not
compounded.
Not compounded. Uncompounded. Uncompounded means
Assemblage of causes and conditions.
what?
Assemblage of causes and conditions.
That is not
When there is
uncompounded.
no assemblage of causes and conditions.
It's not that assemblage of causes condition. So one does not have cause and condition means permanent. Permanent. It just remain like that forever. That is what these things have to. These words, these English words, I learn and then say I don't know the meaning. So you guys have to get it, So that is why I'm just checking what means by uncompounded, or what that uncompounded explains about, So that means the what? Vajrabadi means Vajrabadi means indestructible form. Indestructible form. And Vajra speech So speech is indestructible. Such kind of speech with the mantra is just very powerful. Nothing can destroy. Then indestructible mind means
Emptiness. View of emptiness.
indestructible mind means Vajra mind. Vajra mind means kind of try to abide in the kind of like the Dzogchen or the kind of inner tantra view. That is the view. That view means your Buddha nature, oh, your mind. Oh, this all talking about kind of deity, but that is your nature, your absolute nature, your primordial nature. That is your own true faith. This is not your true faith. This is fake. This body is fake. This mind is fake. This speech is fake. That is why it doesn't last forever. So once we just kind of die, this whole body cremated, you are no more. No more your speech. Once it is gone, your dead body just gone, burned, no more existing anything, even it's kind of like ashes. So it is just very, very temporary. It's false, it's untrue. So sentient beings are not understanding that. So, however, that way, one have to understand this kind of the Vajra body speech mind. So then this how our body speech mind is not separate. This is also kind of lots of things to contemplate. Sometimes we think kind of mind is mind and body is body, and then sometimes body and speech is one and mind is separate. Mind and body is one. Speech and mind is one. So there are kind of not clear understanding about how one's body, speech, mind are always kind of like together. So according to that, based on the deity, also the deity's mind is the kind of like that was a Sharab Yishike Ha, or sometimes even say Rangjung Yishike Ha, means self-arising kind of wisdom deity. And that is kind of wisdom deities, the speech is that mantra. So where it also explains the mantra is also deity and deity is also mantra. And the mantra is the kind of the activity of the enlightened mind, how it forms into this kind of mantra. So these mantra are also kind of like have very important reason. It's not like we jump to Om and then only that. It's not according to this kind of inner tantra that where it is kind of explained. These mantras are established by kind of like four reasons. Tuba means 4 reasons how it is explained that it has that power. Is what it's saying, kind of ngo ni ji tuba, chuni ngo ni ji tuba, chöde rangshin ji tuba, chingila be tuba, nive top ji tuba. These 4 things. Did you got it? No. Oh, I thought you got it. This Chunyumoni Tuba is the mantra, the sound is by its kind of dharmata nature, by its absolute nature, this mantra has that energy or power. Then the Chunyumoni Tuba is that the matter of appearance in the relative world as the deity's mantra in form of that sound, that which has its own kind of like a energy or quality to activate whatever it is necessary for that. And then Jingalata is that where these mantras are kind of like by its nature, it is blessed by the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. So that is why it is holding that kind of blessing. And then Niruddha is that this mantra itself has that sound, and that is the vibration of that sound of that mantra have that energy to dispel out negative forces. For example, just if somebody kind of tells you just you go away. So just say this word, and that word you understand, kind of you are supposed to go away. And similar like that, kind of more or less, this mantra has its own activity in accordance with the, kind of like a non-human beings or spirits or negative forces or evil forces, so forth, that it does kind of like activate something. Even like for the dispelling out the obstacle creators, where this mantra chant like Om Sumbani Sumbani. And this mantra, kind of when the, kind of like the master have all those kind of great realization and concentration, meditation. When they chant this mantra, these the negative forces, evil forces, they already feel like kind of scared and frightened, and they leave. So like that, the Vajrakilaya mantra or all Lokeshwara mantra, Omani Pene or Omam Vendra Guru mantra, and so forth. All these mantras are, all these four ways of Tuba, that this meaning or power or energy is already there in all these mantras, not just only the Vajrakilaya mantra. So according to that, uh, as we accumulate this mantra, then all those kind of like the absolute nature, and then the relative nature, and then the blessing, and then it's kind of like natural power. All these are accumulating over and over, and that way how it is becoming more and more kind of powerful. So those are, of course, based on the kind of mantra that anyway explained here. It is also same thing. Then from the 10 direction, that's the empowerment. Then light rate, and then receiving all the blessings in form of empowerment by this blessing. Then the sign of empowerment is to be crowned with the Amoga city. So as the family, then they say Amoga city is as the crown of this kind of family. And then at the same time there is the five Buddha family, five male, five female. And all these five male and female Buddhas, they have their own heart seeds level, which is Om Hum So Ang Ha Mum Lam Mam Pam Tam. So first five are the five male Buddhas, kind of mantra, and five rest is five female. So then saying around the light rays radiate from each deity's heart to invoke the primordial wisdom being. So as one go through whole complete visualization of this 24 deity, and then the get givers and so forth, and then Om Ahum, and from their own heart, that Hum, and from that mantra written light to 10 direction, from the 10 direction, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, especially from the the Aganish, which is the kind of Buddha's pure field, that all the wisdom beings are invoked. Even they never sleep, but kind of to have that connection, to receive that blessing, then we have to invoke, just invite, and the wisdom being. So that way, all the primordial wisdom beings, kind of invoke. So if these deities have, kind of like a iPhones, then we can send message, text message or WeChat or just call. But these deities, they never use those kind of things. So we have to visualize and invoke with this in a kind of like practice. Then for the actual invocation of the deity, then again there is the invocation, visualization, and the kind of prayer that what it explains about it. So saying, from the unborn. So unborn, again, it is talking about emptiness. That unborn emptiness is explained by Chandrakirti in the Madhyamik Avtara. What is called kind of like the four reasonings, whether these are arisen by self or other or both or neither. That in that way, kind of Chandrakirti, with this kind of proper reasoning, establishes all these phenomena. Everything is unborn. So unborn means who never born. For example, like a barren woman's kind of like a son that who is never been born, then there is no identity, there is no characteristic, there is no any explanation. So there is no that manner of abiding, and there is no manner of dying or disappearing, because that it is unelaborated, something which is never born. What you are going to explain about, because there is no identity in the reality world. Same like that, unborn means this all these phenomena are completely born, completely pure nature of the dharma dhatu. Dharma dhatu, again, the absolute true nature of phenomena, which is also not other than the kind of emptiness without any elaboration. And in that nature, all everything is primordially pure. So primordially pure means from the very beginning, pure, just as it is. So what here invoking is from that pure, primordially pure, akanich pure field. Then whatever it is kind of happening in this world is that the we're saying show your magical horizon, blazing wisdom body. So that from the Dharmakaya, explained earlier, Dharmakaya, the from emptiness, then arise into Sambhogakaya form, wisdom form, and then Nirmanakaya form. So that way, is asking from the emptiness, you please show us the magical, kind of way of appearing your blazing wisdom body to us to engage into this practice. Because what you are visualizing is called Samaya Sattva, means the what you have generated in form of the deity. So this has to be actualized just as it is the wisdom being. So need to dissolve that wisdom into oneself. So that is why it's going through this invocation. That who is going to come in the arising form is Dorjishunu Vajrakilaya, together with your entire assemblage of the Vajrakilaya deity, you invoke and come in. Then from the Dharma Tatu, come here to this place where we are practicing Vajrakilaya, where we have been visualizing or generating oneself in form of the deity, Vajrakilaya deity as Samaya Sattva. Now we need that kind of wisdom being, so we can actualize the kind of the actual wisdom kind of deity. So it is similar, like for example, like the statues. The statue is the image of the deity. Then inside we put all these specific kind of mantras and even the life force kind of trees, life force words, and all everything. And then after that we do blessing. So blessing with all those, then this statue become more life, more real, like kind of the deity or Buddha. Then there are possibilities to receive blessing. Otherwise, just merely statue is just a statue. Mm. So same like that. Here we imagine, generate ourselves in the deity. Now just kind of like invoking the wisdom deity and dissolving into oneself. Then one could become the real wisdom kind of deity. So saying to accomplish existence as Vajrakilaya and to bestow empowerment and spiritual attainment without exception. And the coming of the wisdom body, wisdom Vajrakilaya, that through which you bestow us the four empowerments, and then the spiritual attainment, all the kind of realization, without exception, without leaving anything behind. So, wrathful wisdom king, so that is the particular deity which appears wrathful but still, wisdom being. With your entourage, come here and to display the auspicious signs and symbols and to bestow the spiritual attainment of Kilaya. So as sign of that the wisdom being kind of emerge and come, then it just show us some signs. So signs that to experience is kind of true nature where one can build up what is called divine pride. One feel, oh, I think I'm really kind of the Vajrakilaya, the wisdom deity. One can kind of feel that. And representing the God now with your entire assembly, so bringing that. Then this is Dahum Bamho, kind of as a kind of symbolic thing, just which is some Dahum Bam means just become non-dual. The Samaya Sattva and wisdom being just become non-dual, like which means in the water, in a big bucket of water, if you add one mug of water, then this water mingle together. You cannot see any difference. So same like the wisdom being dissolved into yourself, mingle together, non-dual. So for that day, you are saying, kind of as a sign, like a da, hum, bam, ho, like this, which also have, kind of like the chokyu, like a hook chokyu, shapa, lasso, chokyu, shapa, chakro, like iron chain, chokyu, the jibul, like that. These are uh, these are also a symbol in form of mudra. We do like this, but in reality, is its meaning of just becoming non-real. And from the actual part of the practice, it is explaining about four immeasurables. Immeasurable compassion, loving kindness, and joy, and then the equanimity. Then is Benda Samaya, Benda Samaya, this, great, just Vajra, indestructible, kind of wisdom being seated in your being, means, kind of like being a Samaya, kind of Samaya Tishtanen. Samaya, in general, it is time. So here, it is the time now wisdom being be seated in me as a Vajrakilaya, so that where one feel kind of non-dual. So with that, then here, uh, then here, mm, then after that, uh, for example, like when you have a big party, first you kind of like invite all those kind of your friends and your families and so forth. You invite. Then after that, what you do say, oh, please come in, have seat. And once you have that seat, oh, just you what you want to, kind of like you in a way you just say, oh, I hope you are healthy, you look good, just all good things. Then after that, you say, what you want to drink, what you want to eat, kind of like that. And then like that, same here, that kind of oneself is Vajra Kilaya, and then invoke the guest of all the wisdom being, and then kind of feed it in oneself, and then paying homage. That what it is, to be liberated from the negative of three realms of existence. So This our samsara cyclic existence also explained, kind of two ways. Sometimes it's a six realms. Mm. Sometimes there are three realms. In Abhidhamma Kosh, mostly explained with the three realms, which is called desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. So desire realm means hell realm, Holy Ghost being, animal and human, and desire God. These all are in a desire realm. And why this is categorized into desire realm also have full explanation. Then the second is form realm is form God realm. And then formless God realm that which does not even have any kind of form. So that which means sixth realms. All the sentient beings of the sixth realm to be liberated from the suffering of samsara, then and purify all these kind of uh, and plus that to vanquish clinging to pride. Another problem is this: all these six realms or three realms of the sentient being with the ignorant mind, then one have this kind of like a pride that the afflict emotional pride, and that which is the ego, and that is the I. So this the I is the actually main source of kind of like a problem and main source of why we are reborn in samsara. So that has to be kind of purified when you apply what is called divine pride. That divine pride. So when you think of divine pride, you don't have this kind of like a negative emotional pride. And when you think of bodhicitta, when you really think of bodhicitta, then also you don't have that kind of the I or pride ego. Mm. So these are the antidotes just kind of like applied. So the pride again anyway just this is the main source of why we are wandering in the samsara. So that is why the Chandakirti also says in his text, "Nyamun mulu juto le tale juna loye thoni. Dan di yudu to chene nijo paito. Nyamun kena manjuto." All these afflictive emotions and then all the problems in the suffering of samsara just arise from where? Because of that kind of wrong view. And that wrong view is concentrating on I. So we all have I, ego, and this ego is the root cause of kind of suffering. And this ego, holding onto the ego is ignorance, completely ignorance, completely deluded, because in reality, even in relative sense, actually there never ever existed anything whatsoever is called I or me or ego or pride. There is never existed anything that you can identify that say, oh, this is my ego. Never existed. So the ego is the imputed word that you kind of like apply on this your five aggregates. Those of your five aggregates. We are composed of the five aggregates. That of the form, then what? Five aggregates. Form, no,
Perception, consciousness,
maybe,
consciousness,
yeah, but it has a kind of order, Form,
formation,
feeling, second, then
feeling, formation,
perception, three, then formation, then consciousness. So these are your own thing, You even don't know what you have. You don't know what you are composed of it. Those are your five things. Your form. And then feeling, how you feel good, bad, all those feelings. It's your feeling. Then perception, how you perceive. Good, bad, right, wrong, happy, all these perceptions. And then formation, all sorts of, kind of activity. Then consciousness. Do you have consciousness? Do you? I hope so. So that consciousness, those are the 5, what is called aggregates. So this aggregate means, whole bunch of things put together. So aggregate, is the English word that is literally translation of what is called pungu in Tibetan. So that is why I also use thinking this aggregate has the same meaning. So you are composed of these 5. So on this, kind of 5, you think I am. So when you just check and investigate where is your real I, or that where you feel ego of that pride, when you look into it and taking parts and portions and particles of your body, you will never ever find anything whatsoever. It is called I. Never ever. If you go and investigate and analyze, and similarly your feeling and perception and formation and consciousness, even mind, the 6th sense or 8th sense or mental factors or any emotion, if you just say, is that I, you will never ever find just something that you can identify as a single entity, just saying, this is my I. You can never find. So means in the reality world that I never existed. Something which is never ever existed, something which is never ever there, and then holding you are just there is something is kind of like stupid. That is why it is called ignorance. That is why it is called delusion. So here then we want to just get rid of this kind of problem, the ego thing. So that is why saying to vanquish the clinging to pride and to Torje Simbu, the Vajrakilaya, the entire assembly to the whole deity, that with single pointed devotion I bow down. With single pointed devotion, one pay respect to the kind of whole assemblage of the particular deity. So this Atipoho Pratisaho means like the expression in Sanskrit or just kind of in Hindi there's Namaste. Same like that, kind of Atipo Pratisa means kind of like a prostration. Atipo means that is great. Atipo means that is great. And Pratisa, every individually, kind of like a pay respect. So it is paying, homage. Then after that, kind of you pay respect, and then after that, you want to offer. So here they're saying, the outer inner secret offering, the arrangement of outer inner and secret natural and main merit, kind of delights. That we also have all these kind of foods and drinks, the organic and then kind of like chemical things, similar like that. Like many countless offerings, both actual and mind emanated. So all this kind of offering, where just in the relative world, what you find flowers and fruits and kind of cakes and so forth, all sorts of things, including like kind of clothing and everything. At the same time, just through visualization, even you visualize all the desirable 5 sense objects, also that can offer to the kind of deity. I offer to the self-arising manifestation, which oneself arises in form of the deity, to that kind of one make offering. So this sometimes one makes oneself. So that's very simple. Why we want to eat ourselves? We are eating food and drinking water just for oneself, because we want to survive this. Or similarly, until we could actualize the actual kind of realization of the Vajrakilaya enlightened body, speech, mind, still we have to accumulate merit. And that is why we have to do all this kind of offerings, even oneself considered as a particular deity, but one have not actualized. So part of that kind of wisdom being oneself is making this offering. So in non-duality, which is without accept or reject, please partake of this. So the Samaya Sattva and Jnana Sattva. So Samaya Sattva means commandment deity, which means yourself, visualizing in form of deity. Then Jnana Sattva means wisdom, the enlightened being, which you invoke from the pure field of the Buddha, like Akarnishta. So these two become non-dual, become one. One means then you become just wisdom being. So according to that, all this offering, there is nothing to reject because there is nothing is pure. There is nothing to accept because these are nothing really existing. So making all this offering, saying kind of which is without acceptance and rejection, please just partake of it. So all the offerings is also very pure, but at the same time for the deity, because deity never get hungry, deity never get thirsty, deity never feel like cold or hot or anything. So that is why for the deity one offer to accumulate merit, but they not necessarily have to really accept anything or not necessarily really reject anything. So with that, then offering then the argument this kind of like water and then food washing, water and hand washing, and then flour and then incense. So this anyway kind of like the lamp, butter lamp, and then the perfume, good smell, and then the like new day like food, and then the chapter the sound. So Pratisaswa means each and every of these kind of sensory objects that which could please the kind of deity, one wants to make that offering without any acceptance and rejection. So after that, then this is outer offering, then inner offering, just whom the great medicine. So they are coming about those three offering, outer, inner, secret offering. The medicine, the amrita, prepared with 8 roots and 1,000 branches. So these 8 main roots that which goes for a medicine and 1,000 different kinds of branches. These are also explained in the Tibetan medicine tantra and also explained in the Vinaya Sutra by Shakyamuni Buddha according to the kind of like a monks and nuns kind of like patimoksha ordination, what one need to kind of like a and take it as medicine. Even these foods are supposed to eat as a medicine. So this medicine which is made out of, and similarly this our kind of mintu, the blessing nectar that which our late holiness have prepared, what is called mintu. This also have those 8 medicine roots and 1,000 medicine branches, plus so many precious pills and so forth. So according to that, where one receive that blessing, that it's not just like kind of simple thing. So and the supreme secret rata, rata, that which is kind of like a rata in Sanskrit, which means kind of blood. Amrita, in Sanskrit is called and this rata delusion in the sphere of space. That within the kind of like delusion afflicted mind, that which is the like a rata, like the kind of blood, and all everything transformed into pure nature, and then making that offering are offered together with the great assets. So all everything transformed in form of a kind of like a medicine and transform in form of a very tasty, kind of like a medicine. The supreme substance, which is kind of also the torma. Torma means that symbolizing all the eatable, kind of like food. So here, Mahapenta Amrita, that is Amrita, Rasa, that blood, Balita, so that is all those three offerings that which we used to kind of prepare. So then and they finally, what these are, Amrita, Rata, and Balinda, which is saying, whom? Ignorance. Oh, every single sentence being's ignorance, that which already explained. The nature of, flesh, this our physical body flesh, which is symbolizing the ignorance, piled like a mountain. In some other saying, if we have piled that, every time when we die, those skin, kind of piled up, it can be equal to, kind of big, huge mountain. So that ignorance in form of flesh. And then the desire, the absolute emotional desire awake those ocean of blood. So it is like a, kind of like a blood. And that what it is, kind of the desire is symbolized by the, kind of rata or the blood that also which one wants to make that, kind of like a offering. And then together with the anger, so these are three poisons. Anger, a heap of bones. If we have, kind of piled our, bones of the dead body of every individual single being, and that could be piled up like a much, much bigger than Mount Meru, much bigger than relatively, kind of Mount Everest. So that much is saying we have born in this world. So these are the three poisons in form of, kind of flesh, blood, and then the bones are offered to Dorje Simbu. So Dorje Simbu is Raksha. So in one way that a Vajrakilaya as being in the channel ground, kind of which looks like, kind of cannibal, for that as a metaphor, then making offerings of flesh, blood, and bone. But in reality, as a wisdom being of, kind of wisdom deity, then actually oneself is offering one's, three poisons: the ignorance, desire, and anger. So one may got, kind of completely purified. So I offer to this, his entire assembly. Then those are blessed with a, kind of mantra Ah Hum. So then after that, praise to the, kind of Vajrakilaya deity, that of Vajrakilaya's, kind of like appearance, wisdom, and speech and quality. So say, oh, you are the king of wrath. The among the so many of wrathful deities, you are like the king and most glorious to one and great dot shunu. What a thought. This name thought, I don't know. Dorji Shunu, The spelling mistake. Dorji Shunu, supposed to be. Dode. Any words? What is mean?
I think
It's a typo.
it's a typing mistake.
Yeah.
Should be Doji.
Dhoti in India, they could have done lower garment, dhoti. It's not in that. This is Dorje. 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 Dorje Shunu. There is no dhoti in a particular. Dhoti Shunu. Their name. And the consort Khologan, that consort of the perfectly pure Dhammadat. So Vajrakilaya, the male aspect, and then the Vajrakilaya, the feminine aspect, that kind of father and mother aspect, that are just manifestations from the Dharma Tatu, means the primordial pure nature of the phenomena from emptiness. It just kind of like, which is method and wisdom, the compassion and emptiness, compassion and wisdom, just manifested in form of kind of male and female aspect of the kind of Vajrakilaya. So that what it is saying here. The 10 wrathful one, the 10 wrathful ones manifest from the enlightened forms of wisdom and method. Enlightened forms, that which arise or manifest from their kind of wisdom and method. And 10 wrathful mothers arise from the natural sphere, from the emptiness. And the host of whole completely protector, the emanations that are charged with the enlightened kind of activity, rest of all the Vajrakilaya activity kind of deity, which kind of consists of this kind of whole bunch of sase, those who have fangs, those who have fangs, tigers, heads, the 4 female doorkeepers guarding with the 4 directions of the deity mandala protecting, the 12 kilaya guardians, that they are in form of guardians, engage in the action of liberating all those beings. These are, Seja and Tungi, Tibu. These are names of those kind of particular activity beings and others. The sworn protection of Vajrakilaya, the host of oath bound protectors and their retinues. There are a whole bunch of Dharma protectors which are oath bound to Guru Padma Sambhava, that they oath that they will never ever harm any in generally single being besides all the Dharma practitioners, and they will also protect the Dharma teachings. So that way they are oath bound. To all I prostrate, to all that one prostrate and render praise. The time of fulfilling your loving commitment has come, that enact and accomplish your wrathful concern kind of activity, which means one have kind of done all this practice, kind of offerings and homage and prayers and everything. Now, because of your great compassion, that commitment of how you want to benefit all the ascendant beings. So now it is the time that you need to show us that is kind of like a dreadful activity that which help to clear out all the obstacles, all the disturbance, all the negative forces. That way, where one kind of like a praise. Then for the actual practice of the accumulations of mantra, then it is coming to here, the profound recitation. Saying, whom great glorious Torjishunu, the Vajrakilaya, your entourage and sons and Kologendema the consort, perform your wrathful dance from the great extent. So your kind of specific kind of display of dance from the primordial nature, kind of perform that. That sound to emptiness, the mantra chant result like kind of thunder. So mantra is in sound. So that sound is also how it is in emptiness. Similarly, mantra is also emptiness. Emptiness is mantra, and mantra is emptiness. Emptiness is not other than mantra. Mantra is not other than emptiness. So, so mantra emptiness means is doesn't mean that a mantra just kind of like a empty, non-existence or no meaning. It doesn't mean. Mantra emptiness is means however mantra we recite, just however it way, it is a kind of like pure sound of the deity, which does not have again sub-characterized nature. So because of that, since the mantra is emptiness, that is why mantra is become very powerful. And that is why there are also millions of different mantras of kind of different deities and different kind of like Buddhas and practice. So that mantra as one chant is also not like a kind of a whispering. Vajrakilaya, these deities, when they come, like, and chanting Om Vajrakilaya, or they're very loud, almost like, kind of thunder, like, kind of thunder, it is sound like that. Until attaining the depth of your wisdom mind, I shall engage in practice. So that is why it's saying, here, making that commitment, until I accomplish the whole complete the enlightened nature of yourself, of the body, speech, mind, I am going to engage in the practice to the depth of your wisdom mind. So that is where you are making commitment to really gain some blessing and receiving information and actualizing that result. For that purpose, you want to do. So that way, kind of commitment to do such practice is also being very, very important. Then with that, now how to go through these recitations of the mantra to engage into practice. Then here, all the blessing and everything is explained here, saying from the root seeds level is that Hum and Om Vajrakilaya Bound. And the mantra that chain in one's heart. So once at the particular deity at once heart, Hum, and that's surrounded by the kind of the Vajrakilaya mantra, and that like in form of kind of chain, the brilliant in the 10 direction from that mantra, Hum, and then the rest of the mantra, written like to the kind of 10 direction, and to call upon the promise of the deities of the three roots. So all the three root deities, they have their commitment or they have their promise that they want to kind of benefit all sentient beings through their blessing and empowering them. So that is why kind of this light rays kind of invoke that. The blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three root deities, they are in the kind of blessing of body, speech, and mind, come forth in form of a white Om of the body, red as the speech blessing, and then the blue Hum as the kind of mind. Syllables fall like rain and dissolving unobstructedly into one's three places again. So this coming Om Ah Hum from all the direction like snowflake, like in the winter how snowflakes are coming. So like that, millions and billions of of all this kind of deity coming down, and then it dissolves into your body, speech, and mind, and where you are receiving the empowerment and you are receiving the kind of like a blessing. So this is where you visualize, and then you are chanting, chanting the mantra. So then you believe that all the powers of the compassionate blessings of all the victorious ones, all the Buddhas, in the form of boundless host of Vajrakilaya, Om Ahum, or kind of Vajrakilaya form, just come forth, and deities. Some are very large, like mountain, and some are kind of like a small, even like kind of sesame size. That all everything descends like the snowflake. Here also saying snowflake come forth and then dissolve into oneself, and that which comes and then dissolve into oneself, which oneself is the Samaya Sattva in form of the Vajrakilaya deity, which oneself is generated or visualizing in that way. So dissolve constantly, that bring the blessing and empowerment. So the deities within one's kind of body and the male and female deities in one's kind of one's channels and places are like an open pot of kind of sesame seed. So in one way within our body there is all the deities are primordially kind of assembled. And at the same time, here the Vajrakilaya, kind of body mandala, where there are all these, at the crown and throat and heart and navel and cigarette place and then shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder, and right and left thigh, all those deities, including according to the 100 day at the heart, peaceful deity at the throat, Vidyadhara deity at the crown chakra, all the wrathful deities, all those are just kind of like open like the sesame seed, kind of, so that there are all these deities are kind of like appearing. So places are like an open pot of sesame seed. All the deities in the mandala, just hum with the sound of the so hum here is like the bees hum with the sound of the mantra, like the noise of the disturbed, kind of beehive. So that this, all the deities within one's body and then oneself, and all are chanting like almost like the uh, this disturbed, beehive, like that. So, so one have to have sound while chanting this kind of Vajrakilaya mantra. Also, there are kind of few different ways to chant. Anyway, this mantra, Om Nanda Gil Gila Zagan Bong Be. Then he's saying, you chant as much as, so every time at least one round mala within your practice. And then when you have more time, 2 round or 3 round mala, and that as a kind of like if possible daily, if not then during the kind of like 2019 or something when the particular practicing on in the center, then one can also do. So this all one try to maintain. And so these the Vajrakilaya, the mantras that which also kind of recognize the all the Vajrakilaya deity. So every single word that explains about all the Vajrakilaya kind of deity, just every assemblage. So in generally that Om is kind of the invocation and the body, speech, mind of the kind of deity. And then the Vajrakilaya is the principal deity. And then Vajrakilaya, that which is kind of related with the rest of the kind of 10 direction kind of like deities. Then the Sarva means the whole Vajrakilaya assemblage, kind of the retinue, and that which kind of big name, which means kind of through this kind of power that where one dispel out the negative forces or evil forces. So that the bomb whom fetch kind of like then where you kind of like actualize that kind of meaning. So that as explained earlier, this particular mantra itself is accomplished with those four. Those four. So this is the main practice. Then once one have accumulated more than 100,000 times of this mantra with this practice, then one gains some energy, one receives some blessing, one receives some kind of purification, and also accumulate merit. So then one have some power. Then with that, if one wants to do specific activity, whether it is specification or increasing or magnetizing or subjugation, these are the four activities. And then according to that, what is necessary, and that these activities are applied to only how that can be beneficial to others. if one ever think like, oh, I want to accomplish this very, powerful particular deity so that I can smash my enemy, it is completely wrong, and it is creating negative karma. And that is not the practice, and that is not the Vajrakilaya, and that is not the teaching of any of the masters or any of the tantras and any of the kind of like teachers. Nobody teach in that way. If anybody follow like that, it is completely wrong, and that will just become a demonic force, and then one die, one may born into the spirit realm. Mm. So that is why from the very beginning one must have to have the proper intention with the bodhicitta. You want to kind of benefit. How much you benefit with the bodhicitta, all the negative forces or evil forces or enemies, all will be naturally kind of subdued by itself. Mm. You don't have to you don't have to attack, you don't have to fight, you don't have to slay or do anything. More you, kind of develop your bodhicitta, and more you develop your the visualization of deity, that much you can accomplish that of kind of benefiting centered being, and through which they all will be naturally nice and good to you, because you are purifying your side all the negativity. Then for in case one wants to engage into kind of like activity, then we are saying from the main mantra chain light rays, mantra chain that in form of light rays, and a second mantra chain emanates from the kind of male deities kind of heart. That is the mantra light rays in form of the mantra just emanate, and from the mouth of the kind of male deity come out and enters into the mouth of the female consort kind of deity. That mantra kind of limitless, and within the female consort kind of body there are kind of millions of other kind of daginis that is which is kind of abiding there. So consort limitless dagas and daginis in the female consort kind of four chakra, crown and heart, and crown and throat and heart and the navel chakra. Those in four chakras are awakened. All those dagas and dakinis, they are present there spontaneously. Those all invoke, awake at that moment when this mantra chains rotate, and awakened by the kind of self-originating sound of the mantra. The vajra of the male, and then it throughout one's kind of channel, and then it just goes through kind of channel, kind of rotating that mantra. Once the deities proclaim the sound of the mantra change dissolves into the heart, and it goes kind of in the circle, and then finally when you stop, then it dissolves at once in kind of heart. And then the activity, part of activity mantra, then you are chanting this Om Dhammakiliya Dom Bhagavara Jagvila Abhara and then according to this there are 10 grateful male and female deities have their own mantra, and for the rest of others also have the extensive kind of mantra. So after that, when you kind of like stop, then you kind of first make that offering. Om Danti Kilikila Saparivar. Saparivar means all the Vajrakilaya, assemblage of the deity retinue. To all that again you want to make offering, Arkam and so forth. All this Arkam Padam allocate again the nivite, the Shapta, which is kind of like a outdoor offering, and then a Shapta Padvidesoha, then a Mahapenda Amrita Rakta Balinda inner offering, and that way, then after that, just saying May the great glorious Vajrakilaya and his assemblage of deities come here. So again, just in a kind of like to make that in a kind of final offering and the invocation. To that what you want to offer is the outer, inner, and secret offerings. Again, just you make are met, and then in praise is rendered that of the Vajrakilaya enlightened body, speech, mind, that noble qualities and concerned activities that one prays. And then I confess all transgressions, mistakes, deterioration, and broken vows caused by carelessness. So because of my carelessness, or maybe because of kind of like a the possibility of violation of kind of these samayas or precepts and vows are basically even in the kind of Vinaya Sutra, that which explains about just first is saying kind of Mashepara, because one doesn't know what is vow, what is precept, what is samaya, how to maintain, and because of that ignorant mind, one don't know, one may just transparent, so that one wants to purify. Then even one knows, but sometimes one just become disrespectful because of some condition, and then they become very kind of careless, and then they don't want to respect whatever kind of the precepts one receive, whatever vows one receive, whatever samayas one receive, one just kind of like it become kind of ignorant and doesn't care about it, so kind of become very disrespectful. That is another kind of cause or condition. Then the third is which is saying Padava. That is kind of basically carelessness. Even one kind of know, and even one wants to respect, but because of the kind of so many things to do, and then become careless, and then it forget to kind of like maintain or preserve those kind of vows. So because of that, and then fourth is in your mind, even one understand, one have respect, and one try to be very careful. But then when the afflictive emotions are so powerful, and so much of afflictive emotions just arise and become very aggressive, and because of that one could not maintain the path, one could not maintain the precept, one could not maintain the samaya, and because of that the negligence, and then one just kind of transgress or violate, or just kind of like a possible do any kind of like a mistake. So all those here together, one wants to confess in front of the whole assemblage of the Vajrakilaya kind of deity. So that way, where this making that offering and saying, through your loving kindness and compassion, bestow spiritual attainment. So saying, please forgive me, and please, kind of give me blessings that I, kind of confess all those negativity and be purified, because, the deities and Buddhas are always very, very, kind of like a kind and loving, and have great compassion to all sentient beings. So through that, you kindly, kind of forgive me, and then bestow all the spiritual attainment in that way, where one request. Then when you stop, due to this merit, I swiftly accomplish the Vajra Kumara, the Vajrakilaya, and delete all beings. So not just only oneself lead into the pure field of the Vajrakilaya, but lead all the beings, motherly sentient beings, without exception. To that very state, one dedicate the merit. So then, kind of dedicating the merit. Then also that here, The generation and completion stage of meditation and the recitation I have done here. So where in the text says, by the generation stage, it helps to accumulate merit. By the completion stage, it helps to accumulate wisdom. So within this, kind of daily practice, there is the generation and complete stage. So that with these two practice, then it helps also to purify those two, kind of like obscuration. So here, then saying any merit that I have accumulated over the 3 times. So merit that one accumulated, not just only this time. If ever one have in the past lifetime accumulated some merit, that also one wants to dedicate. And in the future, if oneself is preparing for all those virtuous activity, those merit also one wants to dedicate to all sentient beings. Mm, then may I have long life free from disease and increase my experience and realization. So you're saying, if we have done this practice and accumulated merit and wisdom, then that can be also, kind of dedicated just oneself and all other sentient beings. They may have an accomplished life with the positive activities that where they are never been end up with any kind of disease, so they have a very healthy life, and all their kind of wealth and pain and so forth, even experiences and realizations may constantly increase and they develop. And eventually, when I die, may I be reborn in the Devachan pure realm. So after one just kind of die, so this is kind of more related with the, if you cannot accomplish the particular deity, kind of within this kind of practice, then just before that uncertain death happen, and then you have to die. Then maybe still with all this kind of practice, you may possible to reborn in Devachan, the Western paradise in the Amitabha Pure Land, or maybe in the Vajrakilaya Pure Land, able to see the face of Dharmakaya Amitabha. Oh, so the Amitabha, according to the kind of Nirmanakaya, three kaya aspect, then it is Dharmakaya. So one may just possible to see, have the kind of direct perception of the Dharmakaya Amitabha's face, so one can receive direct teaching, empowerment, everything from Amitabha, and then possible to attain enlightenment, liberate in that Amitabha pure land in one lifetime. So and able to, and then having attained the 10 bhumis, kind of birth bhumi, to the 10 bhumi, which are all the kind of like stages of kind of experience of realization. Then may I be able to manifest in all the realms of 10 directions and liberate all sentient beings without exception. So after attending 10 bhumi and then beyond enlightened, then still, as explained earlier, that spontaneous, compassion arises, and that which can kind of like dedicate oneself instantly emerge in form of kind of this Nirmanakaya form, and then continue to benefit all sentient beings. So then here that then that as part of the just particular kind of daily basis practice without the Gana Chakra Puja, then after that you can come to here page 99, the dissolution. Yeah, then dissolution. So till now, it is kind of generation stage, which means all appearance, daily appearance, offering appearance, and activity appearance, all thing. The practice of the emptiness, it is called dissolution, which is non-dissolution completion stage. So completion stage now saying the host of deities of all embracing compassion dissolve into their nature, the expanse of the color light, the five color light is the luminous of the Sambhokaya, and then the universe and the inhabitant dissolve into the expanse of the Dharmakaya. So the great compassionate whole assemblage of the Vajrakilaya deity with the all the retinue, they all just naturally dissolve into the kind of light. So just dissolve into light. And then those kind of lights are five color light, which is symbolizing the five wisdom. And that kind of one self which is also visualized in form of the kind of particular deity, that also kind of dissolved into light, and then in the external universe, the deity mandala, and internal kind of like the beings and the internal all the particular deity, all everything just kind of dissolved into emptiness, which is the Dharmakaya. And then in some other practices, the wisdom, kind of being dissolved into oneself as deity, dissolved into the sixth level, Hum. And then Hum slowly from the bottom upward dissolve, and then only the final Bindu, and then when that also disappear in the empty space, then rest in emptiness nature. So that way also dissolution. So here one can do it in this way. Then in delegation, whatever of the two accumulations may have been amassed in the three times, whatever one have accumulated by kind of myself and others with the body, speech, mind. Uh, I multiply and dedicate it in its entirety to the attainment of the great purity. So great purity is the great promoter of pure nature of oneself in form of the kind of like pure deity. May the resultant non-dual nature be obtained. So oneself and then the like all the Buddhas, everything kind of like primordially just attain that kind of like enlightenment. Then auspicious prayer. May there be auspiciousness of the Dharmakaya, origin, purity and spontaneous kind of presence. So spontaneous presence is also uncompounded nature. Then are saying in the state of self self-originating clear light Sambhoga. So self-originating, which is kind of form of clear light, and that which is the kind of wisdom of the deity or the Sambhogaya that actualize with that Sambhogaya form. Then whom may there be the auspicious of the Nirmanakaya, the myriad manifestation to tame beings. So saying myriad, how 3,000 mirrors of the world, that of the one field of the Nirmanakaya Buddha. So then see as loving, skillful methods in the state of compassion. Uh, yeah, so that is through that where one could to accomplish the just non-conceptual compassion in the ultimate kind of state. So that what it is the particular practice, then how much rest of other dedication prayers you want to do, according to the text. But other than that, kind of like here we have our center, and then Tugula and Kambula and Gogala, and they are always kind of here to help you and to serve you and to give you all this guidance, teaching, instructions, importance, whatever it is necessary that can be, kind of helpful, kind of, you should not hesitate, kind of like a request, teachings or empowerment, whatever you need, and questions, whatever doubts, confusion you have, kind of like, ask, and whatever just kind of like necessary, helps that is needed, or whatever helps you can offer for center. This all is like one spiritual family. So that way you have to just kind of understand, and they are Autobumache and Kemburumache and Mogarumache, and they all are just well educated into Sutrayana and Vajrayana, and all this kind of teachings and pujas and prayers and practices. So that they are being just being humble. So you have to kind of like just what say steer out their quality. In people that have saying, "Well, you be madan this the drum until you beat you don't know the sound." So same like Kebab said you madan table. So these scholars, until you ask question and until you request for teaching till that you don't know. So that you have to utilize this opportunity, because all everything is so important, and life is so important, and you never know when one has such an opportunity again to kind of listen to teachings and have time for practice, and all those are kind of like every moment one should kind of utilize, because that precious human form should not be wasted, and as you all are by yourself dedicated the devotion, intention, interest to learn all this Buddhism and practice, that which is also because of your past lifetimes, accumulations of merit, aspiration, prayers, and have some habitual tendency that related with these, kind of teachings and practice and deity. So you are also very fortunate. So that should not waste those, and kind of like make sure just one do something, so at the end of the day you may not get regret. That is important. Just last minute something happen, and then I should have done more practice, I should have known, kind of study, I should have done something. Now I don't have time, now I'm going to learn what I'm doing. Too late. So at that time no use for regretting, but being regret of doing kind of negative things is good, so that negative thing can purify. But what time is gone, regret, that will time not come back. This time, even this our clock goes cycle, but it is like we are chasing after it. There is no way it can reverse back. So we are just chasing after it. And so it was going on and on. You never catch up. And then one day stop, finish. So that way, whatever is past will never ever come back. So it is better just be more smart and more wise and more dedicated into this kind of practice. Yeah, so that is just I think. 이거 손목을 줘. No, it's exactly 3 o'clock. Stop here. Become it. Until what? Cuma yeah, so then there is the Gokuman prayer to Rama. branch of the Kilaya Tantra Gukuma. Yeah, this is our kind of great masters. 전부 Jimmy Rinpoche, who was invited by our late holiness to Numberling, and then he has been very kind to give us so many kind of teachings and empowerments. So that part of this Vajrakilaya very kind of like condensed, that which is the which is just rebuilt out, as a treasure like he rebuilt out very simple condensed, even maybe shorter than Ranalimba. So since I received this transmission, so somebody requested do the transmission. Checking out the condition of transit 망하기 못했고 역세스는 for the 교군이 얼마나 되는지 사람이 전신 공부도 좋죠. 접근도 선도 도지주 도지지만 조금 진방 도지 진방 조금 좋죠. 레딩 부분 기반은 나는 바로 소원들은 지난 바지는 거기 분들인데 도지자 먼저 뭐 빼면 틀렸다고 내가 빼면 언제라 소원들도 지난 바지는 저의 기본 진짜 고마라 주주에는 사실 뭐 고마시 부분 주주 원전 원주니들로 소원들도 지난 바지는 지금 되게 부바시라는 나 사람 파이 넘버 4 성질 전주 심제자도 대 양성 필리 유봉은 주로 쇼 원주는 담는 부분고 균집 측을 신고는 제대로 나왔다고 뭐 저기 런균랄라 때부터 누군 저걸 심지도 별전 주되냐 덤비 넘 속이 치료 미당고 so repetition watch only 4 lines. And then the satna 동백날려니 계제계 빠진도 주신도 조회결 등을 제치전이나 그것들 but 두두두가 제기 된 때문에 인다 루자 보면 땡 심리 계획 또 주죠. 이제 미원 바로는 너 진짜가 있어. 저장을 해줘 봐. 샤 전도의 중요한 많이 근데 나한테 다 엄변도 길이길래야 혼게 only just 9 kind of levels the actual practice very short visualization and everything. Then 가는 쪽으로 보자. 주님께 그분아 근데 지금도 정말 라면 감게 세토 주 아웅게 장별 주로 라면 감 아웅 라면 저기 저것도 맞지 이제가 이때 넘버 2인데 이제 많이 이러지 컨디션도 진짜 제도도 마한 가나타다 본다 가이 내 감자가 그렇지 then judgment remainder 전도관님 번역도 원문도 되셔라 주변 개념 사와 당 중에 이신 주바는데 오늘님 미연님의 생겨라 전도 되면 주인이야 강이면 무슨 정말 그런 데가 넘버 준비 주반 넘버를 마하군도 호 신도 되지 말아 시외 뱀만 미줄 때 조디시는 싶은데 도주 제라 so here explaining that cannot be peacefully subdued or tamed then have to be in a rapport 라남미도 신발된 주민연대 남도를 도도놈도 저번에 리도 이식 견도샤 that the dissolution. What did the total is a kind of regular young men there, could not get when you get the measurement. Not you would you are sure. Ho, Paje, Young Dutching, chicken, which is the to what do. Gambit the way to do submit Jungden Dodgy shouldn't Joshi show. Jamil Topachimo. This is Topachimo, the great perfection, kind of aspiration prayer, written by Lama Mipanambache. Very, very good one, and also easy to kind of memorize. Remember what you mentioned on the way you made the remember, we don't do it on the shed of a shoe. Domingo Bandelomon, you would do it, you go with you this is what you only development in the job of the President of Namade, they developed in the radio, Jim Jim, the new managers. Don't you develop one come down, but the moment you work on me, I want to go to you. I want to go to your tomorrow. To go Canada, the bar, and don't get right another day in the street, so we do not image it. Do not do the lodge and the way you think the young chinny, you and there and get around. You know, so job, not the shut the door job, no, they have a 12 money, thinking the television. She did not have a job, which is not a young, she don't put it down to nothing. To get to the Mundagoja, they will look at the Benoyan, Penatone, number 2, church, commission in nothing. But the junior shake you don't know how to make it. When you shoot them, I don't tell and then the Labagan Agency, don't but what I do, guys, the charge of the open the junior. To the Mother River, the Lord was on the Lady Gate in Chicago, what in the bar, I shall never tell you. There, and she don't go there, ginger, the one to be surrounded to do. No, I to remember the one on your jail, just the much of the chimney, no, Junior, Jimmy, to make the David and Ryan and never phone shop. Is it to give much jewel to the Jaya to the Union? Don't get reach away, not the commercial, so different one you could do, but teaching them. So, no, you don't do is your born and never think you to watch out to the church and the money that they when the Jewel the minute you would think of the major, the you don't know I am region of my one year down. So, the Jay, and the Jimmer of the gate, the you do on your own chain, that the company be you could shoot him with that it on the wind. Then the doing the duration of the top show. So it's very beneficial. Talk about something about church. So just hearing, you can maybe liberate. So mostly praised by the Buddha Vajrakilaya. And this will symbol so kind of contemplating on this something which is very beneficial and powerful and effective. Why not one just contemplate through the manipulation? So through the absolute nature of Dharma Tattva that one may immediately liberate. To be do it. So the general, kind of the teachings of the Yana that need to put lots of effort. It takes a long time to be different. So the two different Jewish zone. This is the heart essence of the Buddha Samanipattara. How it has been. So this is the essence of all the teachings, Sutra, Tantra, and the bureaucracy. So this may spread all over the world to benefit understand it. Yeah.
Okay, so page 176. 176, the dedication.